What's up, Peter Von Panda here, but more like Peter Von Excited. I just got delivery today, and it is a watch. As you can see here, $750 worth of watch. But what I am super stoked about is, as you know, Shinola, the luxury goods manufacturer in Detroit, made one limited edition watch so far, and it was their Shinola Runwell 41 and a 47 millimeter, same watch in two different sizes. They made a run of 2,500 of them, and an awesome watch. Pretty hard to get. You got to pay a pretty nice premium to get one if you want it. But for only the second time in their short career, they have made a second limited edition watch, and this one is for the 50th anniversary of the Ford Mustang, which is, I believe, April 2014. So this is just a little bit early, but early is good. This is actually branded by Ford. I've heard a number of them go to Ford executives. This is a much more limited edition. They're all the same size, but there's only going to be 1,000 of them. And so this could even be potentially worth more than the Runwell limited editions, and in some ways I think this is a little bit more of a modern looking watch. So this is what comes. I'm going to take a pretty detailed look at this watch so you can have a good idea of what they look like. There are obviously pictures and whatnot online, but I have not seen one of these in person, and I think I'm the first one to get it and videotape it for you. But again, it's actually packaged much like Shinola packages their other watches, with this kind of cardboard lining sleeve around the box. Very cool. It's got the racing stripes, kind of in that Shelby look. I don't have a Ford Mustang. This kind of makes me want to have one, but I do like, obviously, all things Detroit, including Ford and the Mustang, and I'm kind of a big fan. And so I think this is going to be a hit with not only watch guys, but also Mustang owners. So I'm as far as I know, this watch isn't currently sold out, but man, I'm surprised that it isn't. I think it absolutely should be. So the paper sleeve slides off here, and there is a much more traditional looking watch box. You know, this is kind of more what you'd think of when you see a pretty high-end watch, and the top of it is absolutely sandblasted, looks like, with the Ford Mustang logo and 50 years on the top, and it's a pretty substantial box. It's not a piano black, like lacquered shiny finish, but has these dual piano hinges on the back, but it's a much more of a matte finish, and it's pretty heavy. And so I'm going to open it up here, and I'm wondering if it's the wood box that they have made in Minnesota, and it very well could be, but obviously it's painted. Dimensionally, it's about the same size as the box you get from Shinola, but shorter. It doesn't appear to be the kind of the height, and obviously no Shinola branding itself. This is really designed to be more of a Ford product. Squishy foam up on the top to protect the watch, and there is the watch itself. Nice chrome hinges on the back. And I'm going to pull out this watch, and let's take a close look at it. I don't even know if there's any plastic on the front, but what I can tell you is from what I've seen, this is a cool looking watch. It's a little bit more modern in its design. It's a little bit more of a sport watch. It's got this tachometer bezel, and the dog loves watches too. Sorry about the little debris on the lens, or on the crystal. A sapphire crystal. The bezel does rotate. The tachometer is, or tachometer, whatever, however you pronounce it, is used to determine pace or speed. It obviously doesn't tell you exactly. It's not precise like a GPS, but you can effectively calculate, how fast you're moving in certain rates. Yes. I love this watch too. I don't know how it works, but there it is. And in the pictures, I've always seen the 60 right at the noon position. But since it's related to speed, it's kind of a nice tie-in to the Ford Mustang here. But as I was saying, the watch is really a derivative or a cousin to the Brakeman, and you can tell that in the lugs here are very similar, and also in the back plate, which is essentially, as far as I can tell, the exact same one that goes on the Brakeman. The difference here is that the case is milled in obviously a circle, as opposed to the Brakeman's kind of more squarish case. So it's kind of got these flanges on the edge, which give it a little bit more bulk, but it is a cousin. And so it's 46 millimeters, which I believe is the exact same size as the Brakeman, and the dog just loves chiming in. And you can see that the second hand, I believe, is a straight lift from it. And the crystal, I believe, is the exact same one. You can see the magnifying portion for the date is also underneath the crystal, which is nice. I don't really know. I'm just kind of taking a look at how big that is. You know, to me, I can see the date under there, and it's pretty small. But I actually think the crystal, the magnifying piece, is kind of unnecessary. You know, if you look on the Tag Heuers, you know, the date is pretty small anyway, but they're kind of designed to be like that. It's just a rainy and humid day right now, so sorry for all my fingerprints showing up. The other cool thing is that the barrel on this is pretty cylindrical, so it's kind of straight up and down. There's some nice grooves on the rotating bezel itself, but because of that, the nice sharp edge, I actually think, even though this is a millimeter smaller case than the Runwell, it looks like it's a little bit bigger, because even though 47 millimeter Runwell is the 1 millimeter larger, the edge of the case has such a round edge, it kind of disappears. It kind of gives the illusion that it's a thinner watch, that it's a little more compact than it is, whereas this just is more beefy, kind of more of a sharp-edged design and looks bigger. So I think this is actually a nice you know, compromise for the people who maybe like a little bit smaller watch. So technically it is, but it looks pretty big and bold. The face is pretty standard. It's different than the Brakeman. The Brakeman, I think, only has the number in the 12 position, and then just the hash marks all the way around. This has the 3, 6, and 9, obviously. One of the things that I thought, and you know, I'm not real big on kind of theme type of products being translated across a bunch of products that don't really relate to each other. But I'm wondering if maybe this could have looked a little bit more like the speedometer on a 1960s Mustang, because those were kind of cool, you know, the old Steve McQueen bullet Mustang type of thing. But then again, I've seen that on some other Mustang watches, and it looks a little cheesy. So I'm kind of glad. I'm glad with the overall package here that they chose to do it the way they did it. So again, very nice, and again, a sapphire crystal. You'll notice here on the front, unlike any of the other Shinola watches, it doesn't say Shinola anywhere. It's got the Mustang logo in the 50 years. The only thing that would suggest it's a Shinola watch is that the movement is printed on here, the Argonite 715, which again is straight out of the Brakeman. And it says Detroit like the other Shinola watches, but this is really branded and to kind of showcase the Ford Mustang 50th anniversary. Obviously on the back, the backing is the same. It does say Shinola and the sandblasted finish and the serial number, so that's all very cool. And then again, I believe the Missouri stitched Horween leather watch band, and again, I believe this is 24 millimeters up here and 22 millimeters down here. This is a little bit different than the other leather bands that you'll see on the other Shinola watches, primarily because, as far as I can tell, the stitching on those are white, and this one is obviously black, which, again, a little bit more that sporty kind of American muscle car. You know, I think it looks very much like the seats in a Mustang. I don't know if they were intending that, but you know, when I think Mustang, I think kind of badass, cool American car. The buckle is very much like a Panerai style buckle. It does have Mustang sandblasted into it, or etched into it somehow. And interestingly, it does not have the Shinola lightning bolt underneath like the other watches do. So I'm a little surprised it's missing there. Again, this isn't really It wasn't an exercise to promote Shinola as much as it is the Ford. The crown, again, normally on other Shinolas will have that lightning bolt here, but it's got the Ford Mustang pony. And it's just overall a really cool watch. It says Shinola on the inside here. And just like most of the Shinola leather watch bands, the inside is more of that natural tanned leather. And it says 22, so this must be 22 millimeters up here, maybe 20 down here. But yeah, I mean, just a good looking watch. You know, this isn't something that you would wear and I think it would stand out like some sort of you know, ridiculous over the top skeleton watch. And it's just not super flashy. You know, all the metal finish here is kind of the machined you know, brushed look, which is awesome. So it's not a real blingy watch, but it's a nice looking watch. I actually like it for everything it stands for because it's kind of got that dual purpose Detroit representation. And it's, like I said, it's a little bit sportier and a little bit more modern than kind of that really retro vintage style that the Runwell is, and even kind of more of that kind of that 80s style that the Brakeman is, which is not really nostalgic for me personally, so I didn't want to, you know, I'm not really into the Brakeman style per se, but I really do love the Runwells. And I can tell you, if you were curious, that this bezel is only rotates one way, as most do. Let's quick take a look at the box and see if there's anything else in here. This insert is very similar to the other watches, the other Shinola watches. There does not appear to be anything in it. It's just like black cardboard, but there is a operation manual and warranty book in the bottom. This is pretty small, and I'll tell you it's got in here. Talks about the Ford and the Shinola story. It's the instruction manual on how to set the time. Again, because this only doesn't even have a remote second hand or anything, setting the time on this should be pretty straightforward. Talks about the water resistance, care and precaution, and a 2-year international warranty. And again, the book is printed with that racing stripe too. So all in all, an awesome watch that I'm super stoked about adding to the collection. I think it's definitely worth it. Like I said, $700 retail, depending on where you are in terms of sale tax and shipping, probably $750. But only 1,000 pieces, less than half of the amount they made for the limited edition Shinola Runwell. And again, also with the tie-in to Mustang. So if you're a muscle car guy or have a Mustang, you've got to be wearing one of these watches. I mean, it's a really good value for a nice luxury watch that's going to show you appreciate Mustang and all things Detroit. And if you're a Shinola guy, like I am, you're going to have this too. So if you have the other limited edition watches, definitely do your best to find this. You're going to dig it. So Peter Von Panda, out.